Are you using the right tools to collect your data? Let's talk about tag management in relation to both CDPs as well as pixel management. Almost every tool is trying to cannibalize every other tool right now. So you have tag managements trying to become a CDP, becoming an analytics platform. We have analytics platforms trying to introduce CDP functionality and email functionality. Every tool is becoming cannibalized. So let's talk about what might not change over the next few years so you can start building your tech stack from a solid foundation. So Google Tag Manager has been on the market for a very long time, was one of the original tag management solutions. It is a centralized location where you can input a variety of usually JavaScript tags that can then be used to deploy whatever you would like to. So the beauty of something like Google Tag Manager is you can listen for just about anything. You can wait for the page to load, for the window to load, for consent management, and as well as you can listen for custom functions. So you can listen for things called data layers. More on that in a second. You can listen to element visibilities. There's so many things that you can listen to when you use something like Google Tag Manager. And I will say Google Tag Manager is probably the best tag management solution. Its only function is Google Tag Management. That is the only function that Google Tag Manager has, so it does it very, very well. Other tools will say, we have this. There's a Piwik Tag Manager, there's another Tag Manager. I have never used one that is as good as Google's Tag Manager. You don't even have to use Google Analytics or Google Ads if you want to. You can just use Google Tag Manager solution. Then you have things like a CDP. The two big CDPs, well, there's a lot of CDPs, but one of the big ones is Segment, that will basically be free until they make you pay an arm and a leg. That's very expensive, but if it's worth it, it's worth it. Another tool on the market that we've started to be utilized more and more is something called PostHog, which is basically another analytics and CDP together. But any CDP, use yours in this scenario. How we would generally recommend this to flow is that you have your Google Tag Manager on your site, and that is used to deploy any CDP tags, any tags to any analytics platforms or any identification platforms like Segment or PostHog, right? Where you're trying to identify, hey, this is Susan@hotmail.com. The reason you want to do this is it's so much easier to manage when tags are being deployed from Google Tag Manager as opposed to trying to hard code in with your listeners on Segment or PostHog or anywhere else. If you try to hard code listeners, what ends up happening is that you forget where you put things, whereas if a Tag Manager, which I'll show you in a second, it's all in one spot. So let me show you how you can do this. Here I am inside of visionlabs.com's tag manager. We have a bunch of tags. We have a bunch of testing stuff. We're in here trying to build things out, test things, adjust things, you name it, we've got it. So if I hop in here and I go up to preview, what will happen is it'll open up another tab of my browser right here, and it's going to connect a preview version to the website. This is, again, one thing that a lot of tools really suck at. So here you can see a flow of everything. We have the initial message that is loading because we are pushing in the data layer initially. We then have the consent initialization, container loaded, DOM ready, window loaded. All of these things you can choose if you want to fire anything on a particular point in time, right? You can fire any tag you would like, from whether it's a analytics tag to an ads tag, it doesn't matter. You can fire them whenever you'd like to. So the other beauty is that inside of Google Tag Manager, if you want to go over to these things called triggers, which is how you fire a tag, there is almost infinite variation. We have everything from when pages load to specific click elements to user engagement elements. And then we have custom events where if you want to use a data layer function, you can use that as well. All of these pieces of information are used to send data in the most accurate way it can, listening to the website as a conversation between the user and your website. So you might be asking yourself, hey JJ, why would you fire this way? If you see this right now, you have Tag Manager over your CDP, so it's firing off these individual pieces. The reason being is because you want to have this on your website. The beauty of having something that can ingest data from other locations is you can have, for example, your email tool send data from your email tool to your CDP. You can also have your product, right? So you can have, for example, if you're building a software or building an info product, you can also send those completion data to your CDP. And then the beauty is that you can use that CDP to then influence other actions. We call these plays internally, but this is where you can have things like sending an email. You can cohort. You can identify high and low value people. right? So the beauty of this is that you take your CDP and you then use that to take actions automatically or programmatically, however you want to take actions, right? But the beauty is Tag Manager fires that information. That information goes on to build out a persona of that conversation and send that data on its way. I'm going to build this out a little bit more so you have more context in how this will work. All right, so this is what your site might look like, right? We have your Tag Manager firing off the CDP. We're going to call it your website source. We then have your CRM sending email related data or maybe stages data. We have the product of your website or whatever, however your product is delivered, delivering engagement content to there. And then we have your sales data as well. Then we can say, okay, we have all of these data sources as far as the outputs, whether that's Google ads or Meta ads or LinkedIn ads. And we can decide, hey, we're going to send this data off via Google Tag Manager because it's so easy to set up. It's so quick to do. Then we can ask at a later point, do we want to embellish that with more downstream cohorts or when deals are won or however we want to do that? And then we could say, okay, as long as we have that data in our CDP, we can then send that out via this cohort, for example. Or we can say we don't want to do that. We want to keep things within the Tag Manager ecosystem. That is the beauty of using Tag Manager as the starting point. You can get up and going very quickly with this, and it's a very robust solution. Then, if you need to, you can add your CDP as another data source for your ad platforms. So now you're having more downstream outcomes of saying, hey, this lead turned into a sale 4 months later. And as long as it's in the window of the ad platform to be able to upload, as long as you have the click ID and you do everything correctly as far as the setup, you can then send that data to the ad platform to signify, hey, this did or did not occur. It's really, really helpful if you can get it all factored up. The next aspect of this is where do you pull reporting from? That is a question that you can either go directly to something like this, so that your CDP, it technically has the data, but that's where other tools plug in. And here we'll compare just two different examples. There's a million different tools, a million different ways to do this. Well, the way that we like to structure things is that you then start building out your own data warehouse. So you have BigQuery is what our preferred choice is, where you start saying, okay, we're going to put all of the CDP data also in BigQuery. We're going to also put all of our ads data there as well, so that we can really start putting everything in one location. And you, as the client, you own this data, right? It's in your account. Then you can have this go directly from there, and we have Looker Studio plug into BigQuery, and Bob's your uncle. We have a pretty good system. Other tools like Amplitude might have where the events are flowing from the CDP into Amplitude. And then you can upload things later, you can do different things, and this serves as the data visualization aspect. So that's the goal that we're shooting towards, right? Where you have a way to look and know what's happening. The more customization, Looker Studio, where you have like almost unlimited customization, all the way down to something more locked down where you have like the amplitudes of the world. There's a million different data visualization platforms, but you get the idea. So that is how we would build your tech stack, right? That's how you want to start structuring things so everything can talk together. So you're not just building out a silo of tag management that sends data one place. You're using everything together to fuel actions either automatically, programmatically, or by a person pushing a button. Good old-fashioned button pushing. Hope that makes a lot of sense. Quick introduction here. My name is JJ Reynolds, founder at Vision Labs. If you would like to hear more about how we do this, go to visionlabs.com/DOO. That's visionlabs.com/DOO. That is our data order of operations. It is how you can stack all of this information together from a tactical and strategic standpoint to get better actions.